My son died 15 years ago in a devastating accident. I saw him in the casket, felt his cold skin, and tossed dirt into his grave with my own hands. But last night, at 2:43 in the morning, my cell phone rang. His name flashed on the screen. And when I answered, I heard his terrified voice asking, "Mom, where am I? Why is it so dark here? How can your heart keep beating when you hear the voice of someone you buried?" If you're still listening, tell me where you're watching from. Every comment you leave is another mark in this journey. And if this story has touched you, don't forget to hit like so it can reach even further. My name is Margaret Sullivan, but everyone calls me Maggie. For 15 years, I've lived with a hole in my chest where my heart used to be. My son Ethan was only 18 years old when he died in a motorcycle crash. A drunk driver ran a red light on a rainy November night in Portland and hit him head-on. The call from Oregon Health and Science University Hospital came at 11:42 in the evening. That single question, Miss Sullivan, mother of Ethan James Sullivan, already held all the answers I didn't want to hear. The viewing was a blur. I sat beside the casket, unable to cry, staring at my boy's face. He looked asleep, except for the grayish skin and heavy makeup concealing the bruises. I spent the whole night caressing his ice-cold hand, hoping his fingers would close around mine like when he was little. At Riverview Cemetery, beneath a massive oak tree, I tossed a white rose onto the casket. The sound of dirt hitting wood was when reality finally slammed into me. My son was dead. Ethan's father couldn't handle it. 6 months later, Robert asked for a divorce. Our 20-year marriage ended with signatures on cold papers, while Rob moved on, remarried, and had other children. I stayed trapped in that grave. Ethan's room remained untouched, his clothes in the closet, running shoes by the bed, drum set gathering dust. I couldn't get rid of anything. Every Sunday, I visited his grave with fresh flowers. I cleaned the headstone, pulled weeds, and talked to him. People told me to move on, as if there were a deadline for a mother's grief. I tried therapy, support groups, antidepressants. Nothing healed that wound. For 15 years, I kept his cell phone number active, calling occasionally to hear his voicemail. "Hey, you've reached Ethan. Leave a message and I'll call you back." Those few seconds were my way of keeping him alive. That's when it happened. Wednesday, September 22nd, 15 years after the accident. At 2:43 in the morning, my phone rang. The screen showed Ethan, not Ethan, do not answer, as I'd renamed it years ago. My heart pounded. My hands shook. It couldn't be real. The phone rang 5, 6, 7 times. On the 7th ring, I answered. For several seconds, only slow, hesitant breathing. "Hello," I whispered. More silence. Then, "Mom." The voice was his. No mistaking it. "Mom, where am I? Why is it so dark here? I'm cold. I can't see anything." The air froze in my lungs. "Ethan." That was all I could manage. "Yeah, it's me. I don't know where I am. I can't see anything. What happened to me?" I switched on the lamp, mind racing. It could be a cruel joke, a hallucination. But that voice, I would recognize it anywhere. "Ethan, is that really you? How is this possible?" "I don't know." "Mom." I remember the crash, the rain, the headlights coming at me, then nothing, just darkness. Now I'm here, but I don't know where. I can't see anything. I feel trapped. A sob escaped my throat. "Ethan, you died 15 years ago. I buried you." Silence. Dense. Heavy silence. "No, Mom. I can't be dead. I'm talking to you. I'm thinking. I'm feeling. I just can't move. Everything is tight around me. A chill ran down my spine, tight, like a coffin. Where are you right now? What do you see around you? Nothing. It's totally dark and I can feel wood. I'm lying on something hard. There's a weird smell, like dirt and mold. Mom, I'm scared. My blood froze. He was describing a casket. Calm down, my son. I'm going to help you. Just tell me how I can find you. I don't know. I just remember the accident. Then waking up here? Mom? How long did you say it's been? 15 years. Ethan, you died in 2010. His breathing quickened, turning into desperate sobs. It can't be. I'm 18. How could I lose 15 years? Ethan, I'm going to find you. I'm going to find a way. Just don't hang up. Please don't hang up. The battery's dying, Mom. The phone's flashing. I don't want to be left alone in here. Wait, how are you calling me? Where did you get a phone? It was in my pocket. My old cell phone. I don't know how it still works, but the battery is almost dead. His old Samsung flip phone, buried with him at his request. Ethan, listen. Do you remember Riverview Cemetery in southwest Portland? That's where we buried you, near the big oak tree. If you're in the casket, that's where you are. Cemetery. I'm really dead. I don't know anymore, son, but I'm coming there right now. Mom, the battery's almost... His voice cut out. Scared. Please help me. Ethan, hang on, I'm coming. I screamed, but only heard the call-ended signal. Trembling, I tried to call his number back. Nothing. Just the automated message saying the number didn't exist, as if those brief minutes of conversation had never happened. I didn't stop to think about logic or impossibility. I threw a jacket over my pajamas, grabbed my car keys, and ran to the garage. It was nearly 4 a.m. when I drove like a maniac through the deserted streets of Portland, running red lights, my heart beating so hard it felt like it would explode. Riverview Cemetery would be closed at that hour, but I knew Tom Rodriguez, the night watchman. Over years of Sunday visits, we had formed a silent friendship. He always let me stay a few minutes past closing when I lost track of time talking to Ethan's grave. I parked haphazardly at the cemetery entrance and ran to the guard booth. Tom was sleeping in a chair but woke startled by my frantic pounding on the glass. Miss Maggie, what happened? It's 4 a.m. I need to get in. Tom, now. It's urgent. It's about my son. He looked at me as if I had lost my mind. And maybe I had. I know it seems crazy, but I need to go to his grave right now. Please. Something in my desperate look must have convinced him because he nodded, grabbed a bunch of keys and a flashlight. I'll go with you. It's not safe alone in the dark. I didn't have time to thank him. I was already running down the stone path I knew so well, illuminated only by the waning moon. Tom ran behind me, panting, trying to keep up. 15 years of visiting the same spot creates a precise mental map. Even in darkness, I knew the way. Left at the Almeida Mausoleum, right at the angel statue. Follow the cypress path to the big oak tree. There, beneath the shadow of the centuries-old tree, was the marble headstone with his name, Ethan James Sullivan, 1992 to 2010. Beloved son, forever in our hearts. I fell to my knees in front of the grave, the world spinning around me. What did I expect to find? A call from beyond the grave didn't mean I could dig him up and find him alive. 15 years is too long. Miss Maggie, are you all right? Tom approached, concerned. I didn't answer. My eyes were fixed on the earth over the grave. Firm, intact soil, covered by a carpet of well-kept grass that I myself had planted years ago. No sign of disturbance, nothing to indicate that someone or something had emerged from there. He called me, Tom. I murmured, without taking my eyes off the grave. My Ethan called me less than half an hour ago. The watchman placed a hand on my shoulder, his voice gentle. "Maggie, you had a nightmare. It happens when we lose someone we love. It wasn't a dream," I screamed, pushing his hand away. I was awake. I answered the phone. It was his voice. I started scraping the grass with my fingernails, trying to dig, to claw at the dirt with my bare hands. It was madness. I knew it. But reason had abandoned me the moment I heard my son's voice. "Miss Maggie, please." Tom grabbed my wrists, preventing me from continuing. "You'll hurt yourself. This isn't normal." I broke down in tears, smearing my face with dirt from my hands. He said it's dark. He said he's trapped. He's scared. "Tom, how can I leave him like that? How?" The watchman helped me up, supporting me as I trembled. "I'm going to take you home. You're very upset. Tomorrow everything will look different." But I knew it wouldn't. Nothing would be the same after that call. Tom insisted on following me in his car to make sure I got inside safely. As I pulled into my driveway around 5:15 in the morning, my neighbor, Mrs. Eleanor Park, was already outside watering her plants. The 68-year-old Korean woman looked surprised to see me arriving at this hour. "Maggie, are you okay? It's so early." I forced a smile. "Just couldn't sleep. Ellie, went for a drive." She looked at me with knowing eyes. "It's the anniversary month. Isn't it November? When Ethan—" I nodded, unable to speak. "He was such a good boy. I still remember him helping me with groceries. You raised him well. Maggie." I thanked her and hurried inside before I broke down crying. As soon as I closed the door, I rushed to the phone and tried to call Ethan's number again. Nothing. The same message that the number didn't exist. I tried 10, 20 more times, always with the same result. I sat in the kitchen shaking, trying to organize my thoughts. I needed help. I needed someone who would believe me, or at least pretend to believe while I figured out what was happening. Robert, Ethan's father. If there was anyone who could understand, it would be him. Even with our relationship deteriorated after the divorce, we shared a love for our son. I looked at the clock. 5:42 in the morning. Too early for a normal call, but this had stopped being a normal situation. I dialed his number, which I still knew by heart even after all these years. After 4 rings, I heard his sleepy voice. "Maggie, is that you? Is something wrong?" "Rob," my voice trembled. "I need to tell you something. It's going to sound crazy, but I need you to listen." I told him everything. The call. Ethan's voice. The phone in the casket. My desperate trip to the cemetery. I expected him to interrupt me, to call me crazy, to suggest psychiatric hospitalization. But Rob just listened in silence, breathing heavily on the other end of the line. When I finished, there was a long moment of silence. "Do you believe me?" I asked finally, my voice small and uncertain. "I don't know what to believe." "Maggie." His voice sounded strangely controlled. "But I know you wouldn't make something like this up. Not about Ethan. I need your help. I need to understand what's happening." "I'll be there in an hour," he said, surprising me. "We'll talk in person." Rob arrived in less than an hour. His graying hair was messy, deep circles under his eyes. When I opened the door, I saw the same man who had been my husband for 20 years, now older, with deeper lines in his face. But his eyes held the same look. Ethan's eyes, which he had inherited from his father. "You look terrible," he said, trying to soften the tension with humor. "You're not looking your best either," I replied, letting him in. We sat in the living room, the silence heavy between us. It had been years since we'd been like this, face to face, alone. "Tell me every detail again," he asked, leaning forward with his elbows resting on his knees. I repeated the whole story, adding details I'd forgotten the first time. The exact tone of Ethan's voice, his ragged breathing, the description of the darkness and the tight space. The cell phone. Rob interrupted. You said he has the cell phone in the casket. Yes. Don't you remember it was one of the requests in his will? Rob nodded slowly. I remember that strange phase when he wrote down what he wanted if he died. We didn't imagine that he would actually die so young. An old Samsung flip phone. Right, the silver one. Yes, I agreed. But still, Rob. 15 years underground. The battery wouldn't last that long. And how would he get a signal down there? It doesn't make sense. He agreed. Unless it's not really coming from the grave. Rob stood up, walking restlessly around the living room. Maggie, have you thought that it could be something else? Someone playing a trick on you? Maybe someone who knows about the cell phone buried with him? I shook my head vehemently. No, Rob. It was his voice. No one could imitate it like that. And who would be so cruel? Rob ran a hand through his graying hair, a gesture that reminded me so much of Ethan that I felt a pang in my chest. So what are you suggesting, that our son somehow managed to call you from inside the casket 15 years after dying? He stopped, choosing his words. Maggie, you need to consider other possibilities. Maybe you're needing help. You think I'm crazy. It wasn't a question. I didn't say that. He sat down again, gripping my hands in his, an intimate gesture we hadn't shared in years. I'm saying that grief does strange things to the mind. You never got over his death. You really never moved on. I pulled my hands away, moving apart. How did you move on with your perfect new wife and your perfect new kids? That's not fair, Maggie. His voice hardened. I lost my son too. I suffered too. I just chose to deal with it differently. I closed my eyes, trying to calm down. Arguing with Rob wouldn't help me find answers. I'm going to try calling him again, I said, grabbing the phone in front of him. You'll see. I dialed Ethan's number one more time, putting it on speaker. The automated message sounded loud and clear. The number you have dialed does not exist. See? Rob said gently. Maggie. The phone in my hand started vibrating, interrupting him. On the screen, the name Ethan flashed again. It's him, I shouted, almost throwing the device. Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? Rob's face went pale. He was seeing it. There was no denying it. With trembling hands, I answered the call and put it on speaker. Ethan, I called out, my voice barely working. Mom. His voice sounded distant, choppy, as if the connection was bad. Mom, I managed to charge the phone a bit. There's a light now. Rob raised a hand to his mouth, eyes wide with shock. He was hearing the same voice I was. Ethan. I called louder. Your dad is here with me. We're on speaker. Dad. His voice seemed more alert. Dad, is that you? Rob swallowed, tears in his eyes. Yes, son. It's me. What's happening to me? Why are they saying I'm dead? I remember the accident, but then everything is hazy. Ethan, Rob took the lead. His voice choked. You said there's a light now. What are you seeing? There's a type of flashlight here. It was in my jacket pocket along with the phone. I don't know how it still works, but I can see a little bit now. I'm in a wooden box. It's small and it can barely move. I felt the blood freeze in my veins. He was describing the casket. What else do you see? Rob asked, gripping my hand tightly. There's a white cloth, and I'm wearing... Wait, it's not my clothes. It's a suit. I never had a suit like this. The funeral clothes, the suit we bought for him to be buried in. Rob and I exchanged looks of horror. Ethan, my voice trembled. Try to push the lid. See if you can open it. We heard sounds of struggle, groans. I can't. It's too heavy. It feels like there's something on top. Dirt, maybe. Rob took the phone from my hand, holding it closer to his face. Ethan, listen to me. We need to understand what's happening. How long have you been conscious in there? I don't know. His voice sounded frustrated. It's like I just woke up from a long, confusing dream. I remember parts of my life, school, friends, you guys, but there are a lot of blurry things. There are some dried flowers, a rosary, and an envelope. Ethan said suddenly, "An envelope?" I asked, surprised. "What kind of envelope?" "It looks like a letter. It has my name written on it. The handwriting is yours. Mom, the letter." I had completely forgotten about it. The night before the funeral, I wrote a farewell letter to Ethan and asked for it to be placed in the casket. "Can you open it?" I asked. "Yeah, I'm opening it." "My dearest Ethan," he began reading aloud, "if there's a world beyond this one, know that reading these words, you're feeling all the love your mom has for you." His voice cracked as he continued, "And one day, when my time comes, we will be together again. Until then, I will love you and miss you with every breath. Your mom. Forever." "You wrote this for me," he said, voice breaking. "Yes," I confirmed, tears streaming freely. "The night before your funeral. So it's true. I'm really dead. Buried. But then, how am I conscious? How am I talking to you?" "I don't know, son," Rob replied. "But we're going to figure it out. I promise you. We're not going to leave you alone in this." "The battery is dying again," Ethan said, voice suddenly alarmed. "I only have 10% now." "Ethan, listen." I spoke quickly. "We're going to find out what's happening. We're going to find a way to help you. Just don't despair." "I'm scared, Mom," he whispered. "I'm scared of being left alone in the darkness when the battery dies. We're going to find you. I promised. Just hang on. Try to save the battery. Only call if it's really important." "Okay," he agreed, his voice weak. "Dad, Mom, I love you." "We love you too, son." We replied in unison. The call ended abruptly. Rob already had his phone in hand. "I'm calling Marcus," he said. "Marcus Chen, he's a forensic pathologist. If anyone can help us understand this, it's him." Marcus left shortly after, promising to start the exhumation authorization process. Rob stayed with me, settling onto the couch. Night fell, bringing darkness that seemed denser than usual. Neither of us could sleep. "You still keep his things, don't you?" Rob suddenly asked, looking toward Ethan's room. "Yes," I admitted. "I didn't change anything." He nodded. "Can I see?" I guided him to the room untouched for 15 years. The smell of dust greeted us, the bed still made, school books piled on the desk, an unfinished programming assignment in the open notebook, rock band posters on the walls, running shoes beside the bed, his drum set in the corner, covered in dust, silenced by time. Rob walked slowly, touching objects with reverence. He stopped at the trophy shelf. Track and field medals, programming awards, photography prizes. "Look at this." He picked up a small black notebook from a half-open drawer. His journal. My heart raced. I never had the courage to read it. Me neither. Maybe we should now. We sat on Ethan's bed, the journal between us. Rob opened to the first page. January 10th, 2010. I had that dream again. The one about the accident. So real. In the dream, I'm riding my bike in the rain. I see the headlights. I feel the impact. Then I'm floating above, watching my own broken body. It's terrifying, but also strangely peaceful. We exchanged alarmed glances. The description matched the accident that would take his life 10 months later. Rob continued reading. The entries described normal teenage life, but something disturbing repeated. Dreams about his own death. Always the same scenario. March 1st in 2010. Rob read, voice heavy. The dream got more intense. This time, I saw the funeral. I saw Mom crying over my casket. I saw Dad trying to be strong but falling apart. I saw my friends not knowing what to say. It's so vivid I'm starting to wonder if they're really dreams or something else. Premonitions. Warnings. My breathing failed. Ethan had dreamed about his own death weeks before it happened. Rob turned to the last entry, November 17th, 2010, the day of the accident. Today is the day. I don't know how I'm so sure, but I am. Last night's dream was so real, I can still feel the impact. I should be terrified, but I'm not. It's like it's inevitable, destined. If something happens today, I want Mom and Dad to know I love them more than anything, and I want them to know it won't be the end. Somehow, I'm going to find a way back. Pete S., if I'm right, please bury my cell phone with me. I have a feeling I'm going to need it. The journal fell from Rob's hands. He knew, I whispered. They weren't just dreams. He saw the future. The cell phone, Rob murmured. He asked for it because he knew he'd use it to communicate, as if responding to our thoughts. My phone rang. Ethan's name flashed. We answered together. Ethan, I called out. Mom, Dad. His voice sounded firmer now. You're in my room, right? You just finished reading my journal. I was paralyzed. How do you know that? I can see you, he answered calmly. I don't know how to explain it. It's like I'm in two places at once. I'm still here in the darkness. But I can also observe, like in the dreams I used to have. Rob took the phone, eyes wide. Ethan, you can see us right now. Yes, Mom is wearing that blue shirt I gave her for Mother's Day. You're holding my track and field medal. It was true. Rob had just grabbed the medal. There was no way Ethan could know unless he could truly see us. My God, Rob whispered. This is terrifying. I know, Ethan said. It is for me, too. I'm learning to control this. At first, just darkness. But now I can project my consciousness outward. See things, hear things. Can you see other people besides us? I asked. Yes. I can see Dr. Chen at the precinct right now, filling out forms. You're processing the exhumation, aren't you? A shiver ran down my spine. Ethan, what's happening to you? Rob asked. Are you dead alive? What? I don't know exactly. My body is here, but it's not alive in the normal sense. It's preserved somehow, as if time has stopped. But my consciousness is somewhere else. In many places at once. Why now? I asked. Why wait 15 years? I didn't wait. His voice surprised. For me, it was like waking from a long sleep. I didn't realize so much time passed, but now I can feel time differently. I can see what I lost. I can see how much you suffered. And I can see that maybe I can return. Return. Rob and I spoke together. What does that mean? I'm not sure, Ethan admitted. But I know you need to open the grave. I need you to get me out. There's something that needs to be done. Something I can't explain yet. We're trying, son, Rob assured. Marcus is working on it. But it might take days, maybe a week. That's too late, Ethan replied. The connection is getting stronger, but it's temporary. There's a window of opportunity. If we miss it, I might not be able to return. How much time do we have? I asked desperately. 3 days. maybe less. I can feel it, like a tide that rises and falls. I'm at the peak now, but it will start to diminish soon. Rob stood up, determined. I'm going to talk to Marcus. We're going to expedite the process. There's something else, Ethan continued, voice suddenly serious. I'm not alone here. There are others like me, people trapped between worlds. Some are confused, scared, others are angry. Not everyone has good intentions. What do you mean? Some want to return for the wrong reasons. Vengeance, obsession, power. If they find a way back like I'm trying to do, it would be dangerous. I'm trying to hold them back, block the path, but I'm getting tired. I don't know how much longer I can. Our son wasn't just trying to find a way back. He was serving as a guardian, preventing other spirits with dark intentions from escaping. How can we help? I asked. Just get me out of there, he replied. The rest I can try to solve once we're reunited. The call started to fail, voice choppy with static. I'm losing connection. Battery dying. Ethan, hold on. We're coming for you. I know you will. His voice just a whisper. I love you both very much. Then silence. In the hours that followed, Rob and I felt something wrong. Dark shadows flitting past, whispers we couldn't understand, sudden cold, lights flickering, doors closing on their own. We weren't just racing to save Ethan, we had to prevent a greater disaster. The next 24 hours were a race against time. Marcus used all his influence at the medical examiner's office and the police department to accelerate the authorization. Rob mobilized old colleagues, some with political connections. I stayed home, waiting for new calls from Ethan, the phone always within reach, volume turned up high. He didn't call again that day or the next. Anxiety grew with every passing hour. Marcus assured us the authorization would be issued within 48 hours, fast by bureaucratic standards, but still potentially too late according to Ethan's warning. On the morning of the third day, Rob and Marcus arrived with news. The authorization comes out this afternoon, Marcus explained, his face tired from lack of sleep. They scheduled the exhumation for tomorrow morning. That's too late, I replied, remembering Ethan's warning. He said 3 days at most. Today is the third day. Rob and Marcus exchanged meaningful looks. We have an alternative plan. Rob spoke softly as if afraid of being overheard. It's not legal, but the cemetery watchman, Mr. Rodriguez, he agreed to let us in tonight after closing. He'll bring the necessary equipment. We'll do everything discreetly. And then, I asked, even if we manage to open the casket, what will we do? We can't just take whatever we find there. One step at a time, Rob replied. First, we need to see what's inside. Understand what Ethan meant by return. We spent the day in a state of contained anxiety, preparing for the night. Marcus brought dark clothing for everyone, flashlights, and tools. Rob prepared the car with documents in case we were stopped by police. I packed food, water, and blankets, acting more out of Mother's instinct than logic. By 10 in the evening, the cemetery had been closed for an hour. We drove there in silence, each lost in our own thoughts. Tom Rodriguez was waiting for us at the back gate, his face grim but determined. I have everything ready, he said quietly. The tools are hidden near the grave. No one comes here at this hour, but we need to be fast and quiet. The cemetery at night was a completely different place. Shadows seemed to move between the graves, and the silence was broken only by the occasional hoot of an owl or the rustling of leaves in the wind. We followed Tom along side paths, avoiding the main trails where the moonlight made us more visible. Ethan's grave beneath the big oak tree seemed to be waiting for us. Beside it, hidden under bushes, was a small hydraulic shovel, the kind used for minor construction in confined spaces. I borrowed it from the maintenance crew, Tom explained. It will save us hours of manual labor. Marcus and Rob immediately got to work, operating the small machine carefully to minimize noise. The soil over Ethan's grave was compacted after 15 years, but the machine cut through it with surprising efficiency. I stood guard, my eyes alert for any movement, my ears sharp for any sound that didn't belong to the night. My cell phone was in my pocket, silent but ready for any new contact attempt from Ethan. After nearly an hour of work, the hydraulic shovel struck something solid. The sound of the machine hitting wood made my heart jump. "The casket," Rob announced in a whisper. "Now we need to work by hand." The three men grabbed manual shovels and began carefully clearing the dirt around the casket, revealing its contours. I moved closer, unable to stay away at that crucial moment. The casket looked well preserved, protected by the dry soil. "It's a good casket," Tom murmured. "Treated wood, sealed against moisture. Explains why it's so well preserved." When they finally cleared enough dirt to expose the entire lid, Rob and Marcus positioned themselves on either side. "Ready?" Rob asked, looking at each of us. I nodded, unable to speak. Marcus took a deep breath, preparing for whatever we might find. Tom made the sign of the cross. Together. The two men lifted the casket lid. The smell that escaped was not the smell of decomposition we feared, but a strange, almost medicinal scent. A soft, pale silver light emanated from within, illuminating the surprised faces of the men. I pushed my way between them to look. Nothing could have prepared me for the sight that awaited me. Ethan was there, his body perfectly preserved as if he had been buried yesterday. There were no signs of decomposition, no signs of the 15 years that had passed. His face looked asleep, serene. He wore the same dark suit from the funeral, his hands crossed over his chest. Beneath them, glowing with that strange, pale silver light, was his old cell phone. "My God," Marcus murmured, the scientist in him struggling to comprehend the impossible before his eyes. "This can't be real. There should only be bones." Rob reached out a trembling hand, touching our son's face. "He's warm, not cold like a corpse, not hot like a living person, just warm." The sight was so surreal, so far outside any known logic or science, that for a moment none of us could move. It was as if time had been suspended inside that casket, preserving Ethan exactly as he was on the day of his funeral. Slowly, I moved forward and touched his face. The skin was firm, elastic, like that of a living person, but there was no pulse, no visible breathing, just that strange intermediate temperature, neither alive nor dead. "The phone," I pointed out. "It's glowing." It was true. The small Samsung beneath his hands emitted that supernatural light, illuminating the inside of the casket. When I leaned in to touch it, the screen lit up on its own, displaying a message. "Get me out of here. Take me home. I have little time." We didn't hesitate. Rob and Marcus, with the help of Tom, carefully removed Ethan's body from the casket. He was lighter than he should have been, as if the matter of his body had been partially replaced by something less dense, less physical. Together. We wrapped Ethan in the blanket I had brought and carried him back to the car. The cell phone in his hand continued to glow, now pulsing like a heart, the rhythm accelerating as we drove away from the cemetery. No one spoke during the journey. What could we say in the face of something so far beyond our comprehension? We decided to take him to my house, the house where he grew up, the last place he lived. It felt right. Marcus and Tom helped us carry him inside, placing him gently on his own bed in the room that had remained untouched for 15 years. "I've never seen anything like it in my entire career," Marcus murmured, still examining Ethan's motionless body. "There are no conventional vital signs, but there is also no rigor mortis or any sign of decomposition. It's as if he's in a completely different state of matter. The cell phone in Ethan's hand flashed again, displaying a new message. Water. Sunlight. Music. We looked at each other, confused, until I understood. He's telling us what he needs. I quickly brought a glass of water and pressed it against his lips. To our surprise, he seemed to absorb the liquid, although there was no movement in his throat. I opened the curtains, allowing the rising sun's light to bathe his face. Rob found the old radio on the nightstand and turned it onto a station playing classical music, the kind Ethan always liked. The phone flashed again. Thank you. Now I need to rest. Tomorrow. Marcus and Tom left shortly after, promising to return in the morning. Both swore to keep what they had witnessed a secret. Rob and I remained in Ethan's room, one on each side of the bed, watching our son in his impossible state, neither alive nor dead. What happens now? I whispered, holding Ethan's inert but strangely warm hand. Rob shook his head. I don't know. We're in unknown territory, but he asked us to bring him home, and we did. Now we need to trust him. We spent the night in silent vigil. At some point, I fell asleep in the chair beside the bed. I dreamt of Ethan, not the teenager I had lost, but an adult man as he would have been if he had lived. In the dream, he smiled and said, It's almost time. Mom, just a little longer. I woke up at dawn to a strange humming filling the room. Rob had also woken up, looking around, confused. The source of the sound was Ethan's cell phone, which was now glowing intensely, the pale silver light pulsing at an increasingly rapid rhythm. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, Ethan's body began to change. The skin, which had been deathly pale, gained color. The previously rigid fingers moved slightly. The eyes, closed for 15 years, trembled beneath the lids, as if in a deep sleep. Rob, I whispered, grabbing his hand. Something is happening. The humming intensified, becoming almost unbearable. The light from the cell phone expanded, enveloping Ethan's entire body in a cocoon of light. For a terrible moment, I thought he might be disintegrating, vanishing before our eyes. But then I realized he was transforming. The teenage face softened, the contours subtly shifting, aging. The body beneath the funeral suit seemed to fill out, gaining mass and height. It was like watching 15 years pass in a matter of minutes. Rob and I saw each wrinkle appear, each strand of hair grow longer, hands growing larger. We saw memories flash past, Ethan learning in an invisible space, experiencing in another dimension, maturing through many lifetimes, like watching a fast-forwarded film of 15 years of life, time recovering its normal course, accelerated. And then, as suddenly as it began, everything stopped. The humming went silent. The light retracted into the cell phone before turning off completely. The room returned to normal, illuminated only by the rising sun. Ethan opened his eyes. They were no longer the eyes of an 18-year-old boy, but the eyes of a 33-year-old man, the age he would be now. His face had changed, matured, though it was still unmistakably him. His body had grown, making the funeral suit tight in the shoulders and short at the wrists. Mom. His voice was deeper, more resonant. Dad. We fell on him in a desperate embrace, tears flowing freely. It was impossible. It was a miracle. It was our son returning from the dead, not as a ghost or a zombie, but as a living whole man who seemed to have lived every one of the 15 years he had lost. How? That was all Rob could say, holding Ethan's face in his hands, examining him with awestruck eyes. Ethan smiled, an adult smile with fine lines at the corners of his eyes that hadn't been there before. It's complicated. I don't fully understand it myself. Time works differently on the other side, he continued. It's not linear like it is here. I lived many lives there. I learned things. I grew. When I realized there was a way back, that I could return if the conditions were right. He looked at the cell phone, now plain and ordinary, in his hand. This was the link, the connection that kept me tied to this world. And you, too, were the beacon that guided me back. But how is this possible? I asked, still unable to fully believe the miracle before me. Your science doesn't have words for this yet, Ethan replied gently. Parallel dimensions, maybe, or alternative states of consciousness. The important thing is that I'm here. I returned. Not exactly as I was, but he looked at his own hands, now larger, stronger, with small scars and calluses that weren't there before. This body reflects the experiences I had there, the growth, the learning, as if I lived those 15 years elsewhere. Rob, ever the pragmatic one, was already thinking of the implications. How are we going to explain this? Legally, you're dead. You don't exist in the system. Ethan smiled again. We'll have time to figure that out. Marcus can help. Maybe a story about mistaken identity, amnesia, something like that. The important thing is that I'm back. His face suddenly grew serious. But I'm not the only one who found the way. Others are trying to follow, like I warned, not all with good intentions. What can we do? I asked, determination replacing the fear. For now, nothing. I closed the portal behind me as best I could, but we need to be vigilant. He looked out the window at the world outside, a world he hadn't seen in 15 years. So many things have changed. I have a lot to learn about this life again. Suddenly, my cell phone rang. The number of Jake Morrison, Ethan's best friend from high school. I looked at Ethan, uncertain. It's Jake, I said. Your best friend. He calls me every year on the anniversary. Ethan nodded. I know. I've seen him visiting my grave. Let me answer. I handed him the phone. Ethan answered. Hello. Silence on the other end. Then Jake's trembling voice. Ethan, is that really you? Hey, Jake, it's been a while. A choking sound. But you're dead, man. I was at your funeral. I've been visiting your grave for 15 years. I know. And I appreciate it more than you know. But something impossible happened. I'm back. I need to see you. Right now. Not yet, Jake. There are things I need to sort out first. Legal things. But soon. I promise. After hanging up, Ethan looked at us. This is going to be complicated, isn't it? Rob nodded. Very. But we'll figure it out. Together. In the days that followed, we watched in wonder as Ethan readjusted to life. His body worked perfectly, although at times he seemed clumsy, as if learning to use muscles that had been dormant for a long time. His mind was sharp, absorbing information with impressive speed, adapting to the technological and social changes of the last 15 years. Marcus helped with the legal side, creating an elaborate story of mistaken identification and prolonged amnesia. It wasn't perfect, but with his connections and a bit of record manipulation, he managed to establish a new identity for Ethan, not as someone resurrected from the dead, but as someone who never truly died. As for me, I went from grieving mother to mother of an adult son in a matter of days. It was strange, disorienting, and wonderful. Ethan was no longer the boy I lost, but a complex man with knowledge and skills that transcended his earthly education. Sometimes I found him gazing at the horizon with a distant expression, as if he were seeing things none of us could comprehend. In those moments, I realized that part of him was still connected to the other side, the mysterious place where his consciousness had resided for 15 years. One day, Ethan asked about the person who caused the accident. I told him about Brandon Hayes, the drunk driver who served only 3 years in prison. Ethan was silent for a long time. I don't feel anger anymore. Mom, I've learned that holding on to vengeance only poisons the soul. What happened, happened, but maybe we can use this experience to prevent it from happening to others. This inspired me to establish Ethan's Light Foundation, educating teenagers about the dangers of drunk driving, turning pain into positive action, transforming loss into hope for others. One evening, sitting on the porch, watching the stars, I asked Ethan if he missed that place. Sometimes, he admitted. It was peaceful there in a way. No physical limitations, no weight of linear time. But it lacked something essential. What I asked, he smiled, that smile that was both familiar and new. This humanity, connection, the beauty of being alive with all its imperfections and challenges. It's worth being here, even knowing that one day I'll have to leave again. I held his hand, larger, stronger, and more calloused than the hand of the boy I buried, but still unmistakably the hand of my son. When that day comes, I'll be ready to let you go. I promised. This time, I'll know it's not goodbye forever. Ethan nodded, his eyes reflecting the wisdom of someone who had lived between worlds. It's never goodbye forever, Mom. Only see you soon. Then he said something that changed everything. Mom, I felt your love every single day for 15 years. Even in the darkness, your voice calling my name at the grave every Sunday was like a beacon. Your love anchored me to this world. Without it, I would have drifted away completely. I cried. I thought I was just talking to a stone. I didn't know you could hear me. Love is never wasted, Mom. Every prayer, every tear, every memory, they all matter. They all reach across the veil. Rob joined us on the porch. Maggie, I'm sorry I left you alone with this pain. I was a coward. You weren't a coward. You were human. We all deal with pain differently. I forgive you, Rob, and I hope you can forgive yourself. We held hands for the first time in 15 years, not as husband and wife, but as two parents who loved the same child. I buried my son 15 years ago. I visited his grave religiously every Sunday. I kept his room intact as a sanctuary to his memory, and then, on an ordinary night, my phone rang with a call from beyond. Today, he sits beside me, not as the boy I lost, but as the man he became on another plane of existence. Death, I learned, is not the end of the story. Sometimes it's just the beginning of a new and extraordinary journey. Love is the strongest force in the universe. It transcends death, time, and space. Never doubt that your love matters, even when you can't see the results. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past, but it frees us from its chains. Healing begins when we choose compassion over judgment. Life's value lies not in avoiding pain, but in embracing the full spectrum of human experience. Every moment, good or bad, is precious because it's real. If this story has touched you, think about those you love. Tell them you love them. Don't wait, because we never know how much time we have. And if you've lost someone, know that your love still reaches them, wherever they are. Did you like this story? And which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If this story has touched you, you can support me by sending us super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. with love and respect.